Welcome back to the BearDown Abroad Podcast with me, Ant. And I don't know where I am now. I'm actually in Stockholm, Sweden. But what a show we have for you tonight. An absolute sensational show. We've been working on this for a few weeks. One of my favourite podcasts out there in Bearsland, and I don't listen to too many because it wrecks my head. One of my favourite podcasts is the Three Kings of the Midway. And I've got on really well with the guys that are involved, and we are delighted to have them on. So, without further ado, let's get talking about Bears. Tony, let's roll the film, my man. Let's get this show going. Welcome back to the show.
It's the BearDown Abroad Podcast, and this week we have two of our favorite podcast guys on from the Kings of the Midway Podcast. We've got Danikin, we've got Nostradamus. We're going to be joined by their partner in crime shortly. He's running a wee bit behind, but guys, firstly, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Hey, thanks for having us, man. Doing good. Ready to get the season to a roll and, just excited, man. And this is a big opportunity to be on with you guys, man. So, hey, I truly appreciate it.
For sure, man. It's good to be here. Anytime I can sit down and talk with you guys, Ant, man, we go way back, man. Tony, it's always good to see you as well. So anytime I can stop through, man, and have a nice little chat with you guys, it's always good. Appreciate you inviting us.
Let's start with that. So, I love your podcast. Dan, me and you, as you said, man, go way back. We've been chatting quite a lot. Theo says hello, by the way. Make sure I was told to tell you that. But let's have a chat. Where did you guys originate from? Because we kind of talked a little bit off air about this. Where's the whole Three Kings of the Midway podcast come from, and where does your friendship come from, and how did it work?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll start, I guess. I was born in Chicago, south side of Chicago, Illinois, of course. I went to Texas. I moved there. I went to school down there and everything like that. And then I end up moving, and I now live in Atlanta, Georgia. But my roots are still in Chicago. I go back all the time. That's home, man. It's always going to be home, for sure.
Absolutely. And similar here, me, like I said, I was born in Germany. So father was in the military. And then we moved to Chicago where our roots was on the south side, 79th and Halstead. And then, of course, we eventually moved here to Detroit, Michigan. So that's where I've been ever since, in the suburbs of whatnot. But that's where I've been ever since. And always rooted in Chicago, whether it be the Bears, the Bulls, the Blackhawks, the Cubs, and and sometimes that team on the south side, man, when my Cubs, ain't doing too well, I'm always root Chicago, anything, you know what I'm saying? So I'm always rep the squad, always rep the gang, but it's always been Bears for life, always.
Always.
I love that, man. I love how we are not the only multinational Bears podcast out there, man. You guys are the same. Representing the States, representing Germany, man. That's cool as fuck, man. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
Honestly, man, I didn't know you were born in Germany, so that's a really cool story.
Oh yeah.
Do you get back to Europe much off the back of that, or was it just the fact you were based there because your dad was in the military at the time?
Actually, I got back quite a few times. Like I said, previous career, I was a air marshal for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and whatnot. So I would always go over to Europe, but I could never get back. I would never be there long enough to do a tour long enough to go and see actually the town that I was born in and the town that I spent the first couple years of my life in. So really didn't get an opportunity to, but also have extensive opportunities to be over in Europe.
Well, you get yourself to Sweden, man. I got you. I'll look after you. You come to Gothenburg and you go out. We'll have some fun.
No doubt.
Let's go talk Bears now. Let's go talk Bears.
Sure.
So before we get into the 53-man squad and all the guys that are getting cut or whatever it is, what's your current thought process around where this team sits? So let's look at everything from the offseason to where we are now. And what's the biggest takeaway you've taken from the offseason?
Man, I'll let Nez hit it first if he wants to.
Okay. Biggest takeaway, again, we talked about it a little bit and touched up on it. Jade Walker, man, that's a great story going into the season. Undrafted free agent, out of Texas A&M. Pretty much, he wasn't given that opportunity because we all know Texas A&M's quarterback situation wasn't the best, and he really couldn't showcase his talents and his skill the way he really could. And given the fact that he was an undrafted free agent coming to Chicago, really not given a chance, but an opportunity to do what he could do. And him and Tyson Bagent has gotten a great rapport together, and got things on point and gotten things on track. And it seemed like that's Tyson's go-to man. And has been for the last couple of weeks when, things get tight, he goes to Jade. And the fact that Jade, went in there and did his thing and actually took somebody's spot. Not only did he take a spot, but he took a spot that Ryan Poles literally wasted a draft pick on. He took that spot as an undrafted free agent. That's huge, man. That is a great underdog story. Second to none. Great underdog story. So I love to see that.
Yeah, I'm interested because the fact we're only 6 minutes into the show and we've already started about Ryan Poles and his dodgy draft picks. I don't even want to get started on punters in the fourth round, man, okay? But if you want, man, I'll fucking talk about it. Anyway, right, don't get me started. We'll continue on. Wide receivers, though, let's go there. Let's start at that position because I know that, we've got the cut down coming up just now. I think they're down to 71. So there should be another 18 going in the next few hours. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Last year, I think they kept 5 on the roster. I think they'll probably keep around about 5 or 6 again. Just now, realistically, everybody wants the likes of, Jade Walker, right? Obviously, excellent preseason, excellent training camp. For what I fear, though, that it's one of those ones where is he another guy that we obsess about during the preseason and then worry that if we cut him, he's going to go somewhere else, when actually what's going to happen is we'll cut him and we can get him on the practice squad. Do you guys think he's one of those guys, or do you think that him and let's also talk about Alexander as well, because he's another guy has made some decent impacts as well. Folk we're talking about JP Richardson. Of those sort of guys, who do you think that they're guys that are going to just be able to stash on the practice squad, or are other teams going to be in for them due to how they performed?
I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing you got to think about, right? So when you put this team together, are you gonna keep some of the guys that are going to get snatched up? Jade gets put on his practice squad. He's getting snatched up for sure, no doubt, right? Alexander probably as well, and so on and so forth. So the Bears have a lot of depth at wide receiver. You got DJ Moore, of course. You got Rome. You got Zacchaeus. I mean, they just have a plethora of talent at the wide receiver position. Luther Burden, that's 4. You got Devin Duvernay, that's 5, and then you got Jade. I'm thinking
6.
That's going to be our 6, right? So Tyler Scott's probably going to be gone. You know what I mean? Waived or whatever. And that's what you sit at. I think it's a really good player. I think because it's so much talent on the Bears roster, when it comes to the wide receiver position, it's going to be hard for him to just shine, right? So Bears fans are looking at it and they're like, okay, Jade Walker was this, that, and the third. But how many balls are going to get thrown his way? How many opportunities he's going to get in the regular season? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So if we have these lofty expectations for who he is and what he's going to do this season, you're going to be let down when he has 20 catches. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't get to play unless somebody's hurt or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? So he's a depth piece. That's what he is.
And I think that's hilarious. The hilarious part for me is that probably Zacharias would have been wide receiver 1 or 2 in the last 3 or 4 years. Like that's the level where we got to. Suddenly we've got all these where Luther Burden is taken in the second round, and you're like, he's wide receiver 4 for now. Let the kid sit there. Kid looks unbelievably talented. And then you've got this other Zacharias come along where he would have been considered wide receiver 3 in the last 3 years. I mean, I can't remember anything behind that. And now suddenly we got all this talent. And what people aren't even thinking about is Ben Johnson loves having a 12 round set where he loves having two tight ends. He loves hitting the ball to commit. He took a first round pick as tight end. So they're going to see the ball. We're going to run him back because we know Ben Johnson loves to run the football. So I totally get you, but isn't it great though? And this is a question for you guys. Isn't it great to go into a season where we're like, look at all these weapons we have. Look at all these proper talented players that we can call on, that we can go, do you know what? Yeah, DJ's not playing well, or Roman's dropped a couple of balls. It's okay. We've got really, really good players that we can go and pop in behind.
It's outstanding. But again, this is why we say, and this is where we stated earlier on our podcast, that the pressure is on Caleb Williams. It's on you to get this thing rolling, because we're only going to go as far as you're going to take us. If you can't take us far, if you can't take us where we want to go, then we got to get rid of you, because we put the pieces around you in order to get it done. That's the thing that a lot of people need to understand. And it's not, people want to continue to go back to this Justin versus Caleb versus Justin. That's over with, man. He has to perform. Bottom line, you gotta perform. You gotta put it out there. Now, granted that I put a tweet out there during the game against the Chiefs, and I stated we're gonna have ups where we look like we ready to contend, and we're gonna have downs. We're gonna have lows where it's gonna look rough, and you just gotta grit it and bear it. You know what I'm saying? Grit it and bear it, and you gotta be able to ride through the ups and the downs to get to that median steady pace. What a lot of people don't understand is when Ben Johnson got to Detroit, the Lions lost their first 7 out of 8 games. Okay, that offense was abysmal. All right, it stinked. It stunk all the way from week 1 to about week 5. It stunk. And then they hit the bye week, and then they retooled and refined some things, and then they came back clicking, but they were coming up short. They lost 2 more, and then they got hot. And when they got hot, they won their last 7. So again, I don't expect us to take the full approach like the Detroit Lions did, where we go 1-7. I don't see that happening. But what I do see is us hovering around 500 right before the bye, and then coming out of that bye, it has to click for Caleb. At some point in time, it's got to click for him, because again, like you stated, we have all these weapons. We have a ton of weapons all the way across the board. We're stacked. We have a embarrassment of riches at tight end, wide receiver, and running back. Again, like people stated before, the reason why the Bears didn't go out and go after Robinson from the Washington Commanders is because they are happy with the way this running back room has developed. Eric Bieniemy, one of the great backs of yesteryear. You know what I'm saying? When I was a child, I was watching Eric Bieniemy with the San Diego Chargers and everything else. Watching Eric Bieniemy when he was in Colorado doing this thing. He knows what it takes, and he can see it clearly. He's telling them we don't need to go and get nobody. We good with what we got. So again, if we have this embarrassment of riches, but yet we still can't get the offense clicking, that falls on who? The operator of the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely onto something there, man. I think what we have to look at is, and a lot of people are getting their hopes up early on, right? We got Ben Johnson in the door. We've added these great interior offensive linemen. We've really added to the receiving room, whether that be the tight end position or wide receiver. Excellent, absolutely. But the realistic situation is it's probably going to be a slow start. It's probably not going to go exactly to plan, just as you say, man. It's going to take some time to get to that situation, and that's the realistic situation, whereby you've got a guy who's in his second year, learning from his third offensive coordinator, and the skills are clearly there. He can do things with the ball, but there's the mentality part of it that obviously still has to be overcome. They're throwing as much at the wall to see how much sticks at the moment, and it's going to just take time. And I think we all need to take a step back and hope that, and be realistic about this thing. But what you say about the running back room is really curious for me, because I think that's got to be a big pressure release valve for Caleb Williams in the first few weeks of the season when we get going. And Dan, I'll ask you, man. Like, obviously, it seems that anytime there's a running back that's released or someone's available for trade, it's like, oh, the Bears are going to go for him. But for me, DeAndre Swift, I think is going to really tear it up this season. I thought last season you definitely seen shades of that, given the situation that was difficult. But what are your thoughts on the running back room? Do you think that needs to be added to? Or are the guys that we've got there, taking into account the sort of cuts and all that kind of stuff that happen, are they enough?
No, I think the running back room that we have is well equipped to do what needs to be done. You got to let Ben Johnson. He's going to run the ball. Let's not get it twisted. He's going to run the ball. He's going to help Caleb out in that way, right? He's not going to just throw all the pressure on Caleb. Even though it's a ton of it on him, he's not going to say, okay, let's weigh him down with this and let's see what happens. He's going to try to help him with the run game and so on and so forth. So I'm sure that he's paying attention to it. The guys that we have in there, DeAndre Swift is a really good back. He can catch balls out the backfield. He can run between the tackles. He can run outside the tackles, right? So he can do a lot of those different things that you want him to do. You got another guy who's a bigger back. He's a pounder, more physical. And Roschon Johnson, he can run up, and run up the middle, and he's also got a ton of speed as well, and he catches the ball well at the backfield. So you have interchangeable pieces that it's not just one guy or the other, right? A lot of teams have Thunder and Lightning, a 240-pound back, and another back that's 195-pound scat back, right? And you know what the defense knows what you're going to do when you have that type of running game. But with the running backs that the Bears have, they're interchangeable, which means they work well in the pass game. They work well between the tackles. They can run to the outside as well. You got Kyle Monangai, who's also a guy who can pick up blitzes, and he's an excellent blocker, right? So, if you want to throw him in there at some point, you can do that. You got other guys in this running back locker room or the backfield, you might say, and they're going to be well equipped to do exactly what Ben Johnson wants them to do. It's just a matter of fans being patient. We don't have to go grab every single guy that's available. It's just, first of all, it's not reasonable. It's not logical to do that. And nobody has the assets to do that. Every single time a player is available, we don't go grab them. Not right away.
Yeah, I think
do it on Madden. I do it on Madden all the time.
One other thing. This running back room is young. It's young.
Yeah,
like what is Roschon's 23? You got Monangai who's a rookie. You got Ian Wheeler, who's essentially a rookie. You got the oldest running back on the squad is 26 and DeAndre Swift. So let these guys develop. That's what coaches are supposed to do, is develop some of the players. Let Bieniemy work. Let Ben Johnson work, and let's see what happens.
This is the most amazing part. I said this on the show last week. I can't believe we now that our players are going to get coached. Because you know what? Our players haven't been coached in I don't know how long. We've had coaches in there who were either learning a job or hadn't a clue what they're actually expected to do. We had Waldron, who was laughing his head off in our rookie quarterback's face in one of the first games because he thought it was hilarious because he threw a pick. Like, we find out a group of individuals, and this is what I love what Ben Johnson did, is he brought in friends. Sometimes you're a first-time head coach, you bring in your mates, and you bring in friends just to make everyone say yes to you. No, he brought in Dennis Allen, Bieniemy, guys who are hard-nosed fucks, who have no interest in just saying yes to you, and they will tell you if they disagree with you. You see Bieniemy in some of the practice things. You see Bieniemy coach and Dennis Allen. You just don't want to mess with these guys. And I want to get your opinion on the coaching stuff. So, Nostradamus, I'm going to go to you, man. From a player's perspective, they've gone from what was this weak ass shit Matson, which is what I called him, to now a guy in there who's calling you out regularly, who's making sure you're paid quite well, and you're going to work every penny for that payment. How excited are you with the coaching ticket, man?
Very excited. I am truly excited. Truly excited for the matter when they put the staff together. The minute they hired Ben Johnson, I said, okay, well, let's see what staff he put together. Immediately, Ben Johnson, boom, goes and get Dennis Allen. Then after he gets Dennis Allen, he goes and he gets Antoine Randall, wide receivers coach. Then after the wide receivers coach, he goes and, again, remember, I was always the one on Twitter. I was harping for Eric Bieniemy all the time. I'm like, this team would be perfect with Eric Bieniemy. And then boom, Bears going to hire Eric Bieniemy. It's amazing. It's amazing. This is a no-nonsense type coaching staff that tells it like it is, not going to pour syrup on shit and tell you it's pancakes. They're going to give you exactly what it is. They're going to tell you exactly what it is, and they're going to hold you accountable. And if you can't get the job done, they'll get your ass out of there and get somebody in there that can get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great situation that he put this team in. Geniuses surround themselves with smart people. they're considered geniuses because they recognize talent. They recognize guys who know their field of study. And then they go out and they surround themselves with talented, smart individuals that make them look good. Ben Johnson has essentially done that, right? Now, Ben Johnson is good at what he does, right? And I respect him for what he does. But more importantly than what he does and what he can do as far as an offensive head coach, I'm more impressed with the ability to say, you know what? Let me get this guy. Let me get that guy. Let me get this guy. And you pull in guys that know what they're doing when it comes to coaching players up, when it comes to teaching the game of football to some of these athletes who are so athletic that they don't have to learn the game, right? Let's be real. Some of these guys are so talented, so dope and special with God-given athletic talent that they don't have to learn the game of football. So essentially what you have to do is teach these guys this at an advanced stage. Stuff that they should have known. Like Caleb should have known certain things last year, like how to study film. He didn't have to in college. He didn't have to in high school because he was so much better than everybody else. Now he's going to get the asset that is Ben Johnson helping him in that regard instead of a terrible Shane Waldron or whoever else was doing it. You know what I mean? Not doing it. So
Shaky
that's
Shane.
yeah, exactly. So those are the things, man. I'm glad for this roster, the construction of the coaching staff, and I think it's going to be well for the Bears.
This is it. We talked about that. We've mentioned it just in about every show this season so far. The accountability thing and how it was always talked about before, accountability, but it was never actually followed through on. Now it's a thing that's actually happening. But the thing that was the catalyst, and you guys have sort of touched on it there, is the type of coach that we have now are men who are able to handle 53 alpha males. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's the difference. Do you know what I mean? Whereas before it felt like it was a sort of like everybody gets a participation trophy, well done for showing up, that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think that breeds any sort of competition. It doesn't breed that sort of aggression that you need in the game. I mean, we even seen it in the Miami Dolphins practice things where it was like everyone was going hell for leather. There was that proper aggression, and no matter what anybody on the Miami beat says, like, it's not fake aggression, man. It was like proper, these guys are going at it. So I think that part of it is huge in terms of the mentality for the team, but also with those guys as well. You talk about the enemy, etc. Dennis Allen, guys that have done it at the highest level with the best players. It's huge, man. Like, but just quickly going back to the running back thing, because, you know, obviously the coaches are sort of helping with that. But the big thing I want to talk to you, and there's a question in the chat in regards to this as well, so I'll put it to both of you guys. We'll talk about the transformation of the offensive line, the interior. The left tackle is the big question at the minute. What's happening there? Braxton Jones seems like he might get the job based off of what the guys like Brad Biggs are saying. For me, I was going into training camp, Ozzie Trapilo. I really liked the sound of that guy playing at left tackle, but he looks like he's almost going to be a swing tackle or a backup right tackle at best. Theo Benedette, a guy, the Canadian Eagle, you know, like we've got some very interesting options to play at left tackle here. Where do you guys see that position going? And secondly, what do you think the big impact is going to be on that offense because of the interior offensive line changes that have been made?
Good question. The left tackle situation, I think it's already settled right now. I think we're going to have Braxton Jones as our left tackle, whether we want it or not. And he will be there. But at the end of the day, I think our first round pick next season in the draft will be left tackle. I just about can guarantee it. It's going to be an elite left tackle at that, a first round talent at left tackle. So they'll probably stick it out with Braxton Jones one more season, in my opinion. Of course, he'll be due up for a deal this summer, and I don't think the Bears will be looking to retain his services, depending on how he does. If he holds it down, but then again, you know, unless he comes out and he's Larry Allen this season, I don't see him being retained at all. And we'll literally go left tackle in that position with our first round pick. If not left tackle, then we'll probably go edge, depending on, it's a lot of things that could play out the rest of the year. And far as that interior is massive. That interior O-line is massive. Barring, we're still thin at a lot of places, but that interior O-line is massive, man. And if they can continue to build continuity and continue to gel and continue to build and continue to hold and again, not get injured, the sky's the limit, man. The sky's the limit for this team. But again, and again, I believe Ben Johnson he knows where our weaknesses are. And the fact that there's a difference between play caller like Shane Waldron, and then there's a difference between somebody who can scheme, right? Scheming as an offensive coordinator, scheming as a coach who can get specific guys open. A play caller just calls the plays and say, hey, that's my system. It's supposed to work. You supposed to fit it, right? Not me, not you fit my system. You know what I'm saying? Not me fit your abilities, but you fit what I do and what I call well. That's terrible. We had that with Matt Nagy. We had that with Shane Waldron. It's a recipe for failure in the NFL. And great offensive minds are schemers, people who can scheme and make and bring the best out of their players' abilities, right? So again, perfect example was the play call that we had to Zacchaeus against the Buffalo Bills, where it was actually a double slant route. It was I want to say it was Colston underneath on a slant, and then right behind it was Zacchaeus with another slant. But the fact of the matter is that he got a linebacker having to make a choice because the linebacker was stuck on an island with Zacchaeus. And then by the time that Zacchaeus got the ball, he had already went past the linebacker and he was already into the last defense of the defense where Damar Hamlin was looking like, damn, he here already? And everybody like, well, Hamlin missed the tackle. Hamlin wasn't expecting him to be there. Yeah. So that's how you scheme guys open. You see them as levels and layers is looking like the same thing. It's looking like we're running two slants, but actually we got Colston Loveland that's occupying not only a nickel corner, but he's also occupying the middle of that defense with the linebacker and the safety. And then the layer right behind it is one-on-one with a linebacker. Come on, man.
And then you're making people make decisions. Then
Absolutely.
You're making people making decisions in split seconds, which is where you get mistakes. Instead of having a very obvious scenario, which we've seen for years with Bears offense, which is they're going to run the football and then they're going to run the football again. Or there's one offensive player they're going to go to no matter what.
Absolutely.
So you double him and now I totally agree with you. There was a brilliant in the All-22, I think of even in the Chiefs game where you see Loveland or Komet or Loveland going down the middle and suddenly you see going through the reads that there was 4 different schemed open on the same play.
Absolutely.
And it's like now you're allowing your back, which goes back to your point. Now you're putting your quarterback going, we've given you these options. Now you got to pick one. Now you got to pick the right one.
And that's where the scheming comes into play because, again, you can scheme away from that weakness at left tackle. You can scheme away from that. And you can scheme around that to where he's not put on an island to where he can get your quarterback blew up against their best edge, their best rusher, everything else. That's where the scheming comes into play. So if I'm Ben Johnson, he's looking at it like, yeah, he's serviceable. He's not what I want, but he's serviceable, and I can scheme around that. So.
Yeah. And you got to look at it too. The interior of this line, right? To me, I play defense, and what Nez just said was spot on. And you said it as well. You're making people decide things, right? The easiest thing for a defensive player to do is go out there and know what you're doing. If I know what you're doing, I can stop it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But the problem comes when I have to make decisions, when I have to choose because I don't know where you're going. I don't know what weapon are you using on this particular play? Is it going to be DeAndre Swift? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Are you running this way? Are you going that way? When you have to make decisions like that, it's very difficult for a defensive player because you're chasing. It's easier to run away from somebody than it is to chase them down. You know what I'm saying? So that's the biggest thing that I see with this Bears offense is that you have so many weapons, but they're going to be able to utilize it because the interior line. You got Drew Dahlman there. You got Joe Tooney there. You know what I mean? You put these new guys, three new linemen on the interior that are going to do damage, but it's not going to just do damage in the passing game. It's also going to be very beneficial for the running game.
In the run game.
In the running game, how many times did we see guys DeAndre Swift. In years past, David Montgomery, they run up the middle, and it's just a mass of human beings there, right? And you just run into the middle of the line and fall down because there's nowhere to go. There's no holes, right? Yeah. They're going to be able to open holes now. They're going to be able to open holes. They're going to be, like you said, get to that second layer, get your hands on linebackers, which pokes open holes and lets DeAndre Swift get into the middle of the field and get into the open field against guys who are less athletically talented than him. And then he can make his jukes and cuts and so on and so forth. Or you got Roshan that'll run a defensive back over, a nickel back over. You know what I mean? So you have these type of situations. That's what that interior line is going to do. Of course, they're going to pass protect, and we know that's going to be the case. But I like it because I think the run game is going to be that much better. All you got to do is look at what Detroit did last year. They had Jahmyr Gibbs. They had David Montgomery, and those guys were putting up great numbers. So the passing game was top 10. The run game is top 10, top 5. And now you have an offense that's top in the league, right? So when you're able to do multifaceted on the offensive side of the ball, the defense can't stop because you don't know I don't know what they're doing on this play. I don't know. We don't know what they're doing.
Should the Bears have done more to get a starting left tackle at some point in the last 2 seasons? So we talk about the guys that were available, right? We've had top 10 picks the last 2 years, right? Fair enough. You're going to take Caleb Williams every day of the week last year. Totally makes sense, right? Second pick now, I love Roma Dunze, and I think he's going to be the number 1 guy moving forward, right? But that was a fork in the road moment there. Like it was like you can either go that way or maybe you can trade up and go the other way. Look at offensive tackle sort of thing. We had a chance again maybe this year in the draft as well. I just like to play devil's advocate by asking these questions, by the way. But you had a chance this year as well that there was possibly an option to go offensive tackle. The guy went just before Loveland was picked, who would have been ideal on the team. There was a few options there. Do you think that the Bears have done enough, or is it they've just been unlucky in the way things that have fallen to them, particularly in the draft?
I would say that they were just unlucky in the way things have fallen to them in the draft. Because if you look at a couple of those things that were going on here, I mean, hell, man, you can't pass up Roma Dunze. You can't pass up Caleb Williams. You can't pass up Colston Loveland. Those guys, again, elite level blue chip players, difference makers, impact players. Again, impact players, guys who's going to make an impact on the game immediately right now. Can you get by with an okay guy at left tackle? Well, I would say yes, because Patrick Mahomes has went to how many Super Bowls with terrible offensive line help? Again, he's won a couple, but again, he's won a couple and he's lost a couple. That's okay. But at the same time, he's gotten there. So yes, you can get
it's just
there.
Getting there, isn't it, man? Getting to the big show. Yeah. That's it.
It's just and let the chips fall where they may for now. Yes. But again, they've just been unlucky, man. But again, we had so many holes amongst that team. There was so many holes on that roster, man, that you had to start filling those places with impact guys, impact makers, guys who can make an immediate impact and make my record go from 3-13 to 7-10, from 7-10 to 10-7, from 10-7 to 14-3. Those are the types of guys that you have to draft immediately up top. Now, again, can you do it again? Braxton Jones is somebody who I believe is serviceable. Not somebody who's in a long-term future, but he's serviceable. You can get by with Braxton Jones right now. You can get to the playoffs with Braxton Jones. You can get to, the NFC Championship game with a Braxton Jones. Hell, you could possibly win a Super Bowl with Braxton Jones. But again, if you give it up, if you give up a Colston Loveland to go and get someone else, to say offensive line, to just say I got offensive line, or you give up Roma Dunze to say I'm going to get offensive line just to get offensive line, or you give up on a Caleb Williams and say I'm going to get offensive line to just get offensive line. Well, now you got a left tackle, but you still need a tight end. You still need a possible number 1 wide receiver. You still need a quarterback. So again, these are things that are going on. Again, what is going to affect my team now? What is going to make the most positive impact on my team now? What is going to jumpstart me to get me where I need to be winning now?
Mhm.
There you have it.
And also, you take the best player on the board when you're there, and you trust
Yeah,
the
right.
Trust
You
the
never go
process there.
wrong.
I see J2K and chat. And Josh Simmons looks great, but there were so many question marks about him at the time that you can't make a call based on what you see quarterbacking from last Monday. For me, I totally agree. There's going to be mistakes happen. That's life. There's going to be bad decisions made where we all think one way and it goes the other way, and that's just life. Yeah. But I think for me, looking at this Bears team where we're getting to now, my issue last year was how were we being coached? We spoke about it earlier in the show. They didn't even show Caleb Williams how to do film in a quarterback room, right?
Yeah.
We had scenarios where, and Dan, you said it, where we had no scheme in place for the back room. So DeAndre Swift looked terrible. This isn't the player who was terrible. This was just how he was made to look like because he wasn't being schemed open at all. We now have a scenario where we've actually got a real set of coaches in place, and I'm excited. But you know what I haven't spoken about yet? We're 40 minutes into the show, and Dan, you're a defensive guy. Let's get onto the defensive side of the football, and let's start with somewhere I'm excited about, and that's Jarrett. I really can't wait to see his leadership on the field. I can't wait to see his leadership in the coaches' room or in the locker room, and his play on the field. But what are you expecting out of him?
Who is that? Say that one more time.
Grady Jarrett.
Grady Jarrett. Grady
Jarrett. Okay, I got you. I couldn't hear.
I wouldn't understand you, Ant. I told you they wouldn't understand you.
No, Grady's going to be a nice. He's going to be a nice addition, right? He's definitely he's a professional. He's proven. He's a guy that's been to the Super Bowl, and you know what I mean. All of this stuff with that, the accomplishments, Pro Bowls, so on and so forth. He's accomplished. He knows how to be a pro. He knows how to go about his business on a week-to-week basis, keep his body healthy and things like that. And he's going to be able to rub off on other guys on that line. But it's really going to solidify that defensive line, right? We've had where we got gashed, 8-yard run, 10-yard run, 12-yard run, 7-yard run, just gashed. And now you're going to have a situation where you got him in the middle. You got my man from Florida down there. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank here. No, not Billings. Dexter. Javon Dexter.
Yeah.
I mean, but Billings is coming in as a backup. That's a depth piece. That's nice. You know what I mean? So you got all of these players. You got guys that he's going to be able to rub off on. And Javon Dexter has talked at length about that in the preseason, about his impact, Grady Jarrett's impact on, how you go about business, how you do this, how you do that. And he's like a sponge, so to speak, soaking up some of that stuff, that knowledge. I think it's gonna bode well for him. It's also going to alleviate some of the pressure off of Montez Sweat. You got people that hate Montez Sweat because basically he was the only guy that was doing any damage, right? And once you key on him and you kind of shut that down, then you can nobody else is doing anything. You don't have to worry about anything. So now you're gonna have a situation where guys are gonna start developing. They're gonna be better players because Grady Jarrett is going to bring so much to that locker room. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we've got to join the last one. We can't have just two Kings anyway. We've got to find a third.
That's it.
Roy, my man, how are you doing?
I made it, man. Had daddy duties.
That's
there you go.
That's miles more important, brother. That is miles more important. I really get that. So now those daddy duties are here. We're talking deeds. So we've had a full-on goal, and I felt a bit sad. Guys were talking about Andrew Billings as a stopgap. I have a terrible tendency, history of doing these stuff, that I fell in love with guys who were just those stopgaps. Daz Newsome and me were besties. He was shit. What's your take? What's your take on Andrew Billings and where you see him sitting in now and the way this team is looking?
Oh man, I thought something with Dan Wiederer. It's Dan, so Dan the Downer. So I like him, man, for depth, because you know how it is. When people get hurt. We seen it. Grady Jarrett's up there in age; he can get hurt. So I mean, keeping him for depth, I would keep him as a top 5. But I understand NFL is a business. Yeah, he's a stopgap. He's probably gone next year because you drafted Turner and you still have Dex, and they're probably going to be the future right there. I like Billings. I would like to keep him around. But I ain't the GM. At the end of the day,
Yeah, and from my perspective, we haven't even talked about Turner yet because he's been around, and he's a second round pick. So we've seen a lot of time, and he hasn't been on the field yet. And it's actually a weird. And I'll ask you guys this question: a weird way of sitting, where a second round pick in defensive line gets an unbelievable opportunity to sit behind real experience and real quality players. How important will that be for Turner? Do you think, lads?
Want to jump off first? I'll go first. Yeah, I think it's good. I like Turner. I know Dan was talking about Turner pre-draft, and once I started breaking him down, he's a talented player. Him sitting behind Grady Jarrett, I think, is huge because they kind of played a 3 technique. So him to kind of learn from a veteran like that and a good leader is great for the Chicago Bears. I know he'll be back, so it's not like he's out for the season, but I think that's big. Same thing with Javon Dexter, to learn from a guy like Grady Jarrett that's an alpha dog on that defensive line. Because I'm caught on what Dan was saying. All we had was Montez Sweat, is the guy. Somebody on Twitter told me they could block Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
No. He said he could block him blindfolded with his hands tied behind his back, right? That's what he said?
Of course he could.
Come on.
I was like, whoa, bro. That's
crazy.
Go Twitter off the chain. That's why you can't take too much of what people say on Twitter too seriously.
Do you not know?
Yes.
Do you not know that
Understand you're there, man.
Everyone on Twitter knows what they're talking about, and they're not lunatics at all.
They should all be GMs. They should all be GMs. We know that, guys. We know
exactly.
That.
Exactly.
Here's a question for you guys, though. So we're talking about the defensive side of the ball. I love that the interior thing. Gervon Dexter, I love that guy. And I think he's really going to shine out this season. But the big question is the pass rush. A lot of people have been, and myself included, clamoring for us to make a move, some sort of significant move at defensive end. And the guys that we've got there, obviously Montez Sweat, you could argue that he's still got a bit to live up to in terms of the reputation and the money and all that kind of stuff. You've got Dio, who's coming over, who statistically doesn't have much there, but
try and pronounce a second name, Tony. Try and pronounce a second name.
I call them Dio for a reason, okay, and I'm not going to embarrass myself by making an arse of it. So we're sticking with Dio, okay. but the guy's good, and I looked when we signed him, you look at a guy who's his quarterback pressures are a way up here. It's just not really getting that end product with the sack rate, but I think it'll come. But outside of that, obviously Booker's had a good preseason, but there's some injury issues there. Do you guys think the Bears make a big move? Is this going to be the Khalil Mack 2018 preseason, just before that first game against the Packers, they make the big trade, he comes in and he fucking blows them out of the water? Is there going to be a big trade like that before the Vikings game on Monday Night Football?
No. And the reason why I say that is because look what it did to us. It literally put us in salary cap hell. And on top of that, we're not ready to win now. And we ain't nowhere near winning right now. And that's the honest to God truth. You got to crawl before you walk. And right now, we are in the stage where an infant is on his hands and his knees, and he's just rocking back and forth. He's not even crawling. They just rocking back and forth, making little movements and gestures like, okay, I'm going to start crawling at one point, but we haven't even crawled yet. The reason why I say that is because, again, not only if you make the big splash, right, you're giving up draft capital. When you're giving up draft capital, possibility, and then not only are you giving up draft capital, but you're also giving up a great heap of guaranteed money right now. You still have a lot of players that you're going to have to pay later on down the line. You got some great rookies. You made some great draft picks. Rome's going to be due. Rome's going to be due. Caleb's going to be due. Not only that, you got Darnell Wright is going to be due. That's just on the offensive side of the ball. And then you look at the defensive side. Hell, you already got Jalen Johnson talking about he wants another deal. So he's, what I'm saying? Not only that, but also think about, you got Stevenson and you just read up Spider-Man. You just read him up. But, you're going to have guys that's going to come due. So what are you going to do? You got some decisions that you got to make. So, people are going to start wanting to get paid. And then on top of that, you're giving all this money away to what? Somebody that's 30 plus years old? Are you ready to win now? No, you're not. So you're going to continue to go the draft route, and that's how you build that's how you build through the draft. That's how you build longevity of a dynasty or anything like that, because everybody will be on rookie deals or cap friendly deals, to say the least. And then on top of that, who's to say that you give up the draft pick that, just to go and get this aging veteran that, you think is going to turn you around. And then they go and draft the edge that was the draft pick that you were supposed to have, who's still on a rookie deal. It is an immediate impact player. Again, there I go with that word, impact blue chip players. So no, I don't see that happening this year, that they make that move, because we're not close enough yet. Now, if we were close, I could see it happening. If we were if we were the Washington Commanders situation, I could see that happening. We're nowhere near that.
I'm gonna be honest with everybody, right? Like, when I look at what Poles has done, right? A lot of people are pissed off at Poles. They hate what he's done, so on and so forth, this, that, and the third, when it comes to some of the trades that he's made, right? The trades, in my opinion, they're not that crazy. They're not that ridiculous. We compare what people are wanting the Bears to do right now to what happened in 2017, I guess it was, with Khalil Mack or whatever. Was that 2017, 2018, something like that.
18.
When you think about that situation, Khalil Mack was 27, 28 years old. He's young.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the prime. He was a defensive player of the year at two different positions, defensive end and linebacker. So you could put him anywhere in any scheme, and he was going to be, hands down, one of the best players defensively in football. So you're not finding that right now. You're not finding that caliber of a player right now. Trey Higgins is good. He's good. He ain't Khalil Mack. I'm sorry, he's not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's not.
No.
So when you're talking about giving up a trade capital for him, you're talking about first round pick, second round pick, maybe 2 first round picks to get him. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And the deals that Poe has made, this is why I said I'm okay with Poe. He's trading a 4th round pick for somebody. He's trading a 5th round pick for somebody. You know what I mean? These are guys, 4th and 5th round picks in the draft are developmental players that you hope might pan out. So if you trade a 4th or a 5th round pick for somebody from a different team and he comes on and he doesn't work out, so what? It's a developmental pick. It's a developmental player. You know what I mean? So essentially you're doing the exact same thing, but you're just doing it with somebody who's already in the league, and you're not waiting. You're doing it right now. So I don't have a problem with any of the trades that Poles has done. Some of them are going to work. Some of them are not going to work. That's what it is. But at the end of the day, you have to have the balls to do it. And right now he's been doing that. Some of them hit, some of them don't. It is what it is. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with it though, because you're not giving up top draft picks, which means you would be limited on getting blue chip players at that point, right? You're not getting a ton of blue chip players are not available 4, 5, and 6. It just doesn't happen in the NFL.
You're basically Ryan Pace. You say in essence what you're doing, because we all know that Ryan Pace have absolutely given the roof and his granny for Micah Parsons, and he would have offered his house and a whole lot of.
Cowboys ain't trading Parsons, so people think that's happening. He ain't going nowhere.
Micah Parsons is a different kettle of fish than Trey Hendrickson, though. Like,
yeah,
he's Micah Parsons, that's a different story.
But I don't even put Parsons in there, because I just don't believe Jerry Jones is not giving him away. He's not
at all.
Jerry Jones.
He said, "I got him for 3 more years."
Jerry Jones is playing the game that Jerry Jones always does. This is a classic Jerry Jones. Everyone talks about the Cowboys. Everyone talks about Dallas for 2 weeks. The big drama. He's got a program on Prime. Go watch it for 1 episode, and you'll see exactly what's coming. It's the exact same bullshit every time. So yeah,
he'll sign him right before the season starts.
If Parsons was legitimately available, though, he would be the only one. He's on the caliber of Khalil Mack. You know what I mean? I do the deal in that regard. But for Trey Hendrickson, he's a little bit older. He's not as explosive. He's not that type of player. He's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's just not. He don't give you what Khalil Mack gave you.
I think the biggest thing with Trey Hendrickson is that if you're making that move, you're having to give up the same sort of draft capital, but he's 30. Do you know what I mean? So that's the only thing as well. See,
That's
even
it.
if the guy was like, if he was like 26, 27 and he had that same production, I go, yeah, because he's still to reach his apex at that point. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas if you're at 30, I'm up for making a trade, but I'm not up for making a trade where it's like multiple firsts or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, and I don't know, like there'll be some team out there that's, if he does get traded, there'll be some team out there that are desperate enough to give up that much. As there always is one, but I don't think it should be us. But Micah Parsons, if he was available 100%, man, I'd make that deal every fucking day of the week, because that is a guy who'll transform your defense. And we even saw it, like when we made that Montez Sweat trade, you actually seen the change in how the defense operated at the time. If you got Parsons, it would be even a higher caliber than that. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. But no, I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that, because I think the pass rush is something that's a bit of a concern for some folk at the moment. But then again, I think at the same time, and I'll ask you as well, the interior of that line with Grady Jarrett, when you've got Gervon Dexter, who could have potentially in a Matt Eberflus system been that 3 technique that they always were looking for, but they never quite found. You know, if he was able to change his body type or etc. You've got the internal pass rush as well. Where are you guys generally with the defense though, in terms of the moves that have been made? And I know we talked about Dennis Allen, but is there anything there that stood out to you as like that could be a potential game changer in terms of any sort of acquisitions outside of Grady Jarrett? I know we've talked about him already.
Wow. For me, I think it's Dennis Allen. I think he's going to probably have the biggest impact. I think the Bears, the culture, we're starting to see it. We're starting to see a shift, right, about the focus. We got an offensive-minded head coach, right? We drafted Caleb Williams, #1 overall. This team identity is going to start drifting towards more of the offense. I think because we're Bears, we're so used to the defense dominating. I think the defense can be like top 12. I think that's going to be good for the team. I don't think this defense is going to be like a top 5 unit where we're taking the ball away. It's the 06 Bears. It's the 2010 Bears, the 2018 Bears. I don't think that's going to be the case. This team is going to be offensive focused. That's why we have so many tight ends, so many wide receivers. I think Ben Johnson likes to run the ball, but I don't think we're just going to be a straight ground and pound team and leans on the defense. This team is probably they're going to pass the ball. And a lot is going to be on Caleb Williams, and where we go as a team going forward is going to depend on Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, as it should. We paid Ben Johnson handsomely. We drafted Caleb Williams #1 overall. We gave him all these weapons. We built the offensive line. We're a modern NFL team right now. You know, it's going to be mainly on the offense. The defense, I think sometimes they're going to look good, and then sometimes they're going to run across a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're just going to get outclassed because Mahomes is that good. You know, and you're going to have to be able to keep pace in the modern NFL when you face these high-powered offenses.
Yeah. And in the NFL, every defense is going to have a game or two where they get completely destroyed out there. It just happens, bro. Like the rules are slanted for the offense. Everybody wants to see high-powered offenses flying up and down the field, doing this, that, and the third. So that's the way the league leans, right? But all you need is for your defense to keep you in most games. All you need is for your defense to be there for you. The Bears are going to be good defensively. I'm not going to say they're going to be terrible. I think they'll be somewhere between 10 to 16 in terms of rank, right? And they'll continually possibly get better. They got a lot of defensive talent on this team. You got Grady Jarrett, who we talked about, Gervon Dexter up front. You got Montez Sweat. You got Deo on the other side. That's a decent front four, right? And then you have nice players at linebacker. You got speed. You got big guys that can run and that can cover out there as well, right? And at the linebacker positions. And people can say what they want about Tremaine Edmonds. I think he's serviceable, definitely serviceable. TJ Edwards is excellent. He's always getting to the ball, getting tackles. You know what I mean? And you got maybe Hippolyte steps up and becomes somebody, right? And with what he's done. I mean, and then you got the defensive backfield or the back that we have. You got Jalen Johnson, who's a shutdown corner. You got a nice third down. I mean, not third down, but nickel back. You got Tyreek Stevenson on one side. You have talented players out there that are not afraid to tackle either. That's another part that bodes well with Dennis Allen's defense, right? The guys can get in there, they can mix it up, they can do some damage. So I think the defense will be fine. They'll keep us in most games. They'll be better than they were last year as well. And Dennis Allen is gonna his impact on the game is gonna be felt in different areas, right? Something that we didn't see from the Bears quite often previous years. They didn't dial up blitzes that much, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Dennis Allen, that's what he does. He's going to send hot grits at the quarterback. On third down, we coming to get you. Third and 8, we coming to get you. We're not going to give you time to sit back there and pat the ball and find an open receiver. Our cornerbacks are not going to have to cover for 8, 9, 10 seconds anymore. You're going to have to get the ball out quicker now because Dennis Allen's going to send somebody to come get you.
We had a preseason one game, which didn't matter. And he sent the house. He literally sent in a preseason game with third string, fourth string backups. He sent on a quarterback that I probably would have been better than, and that's not great. Guys, we've got 5 minutes left of your time. We massively appreciate you guys getting on. This has been genuinely so much fun. I really dig it. But I'm going to leave it with, one other question for you guys. You 3 guys born in Chicago, being around the Chicago NFL, American sport. What was it like for you seeing the American game over in London and seeing all the amount of love that Bears gets around the world? I remember listening to one of your podcasts and you spoke about how amazing for you guys to see that amount of love for the Chicago Bears and the Chicago. What does it mean for you guys as local Bears fans to see the amount of support this team gets around the world?
It means everything. I mean, you look at it and you're like, wow, man, we're not just local. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. And that's what people got to understand. That's why they say when a charter franchise, Chicago Bears is a charter franchise because it's not just local. It's not just Chicago. It's not just a national brand. It's a global brand. Again, no matter, you talk to anybody about football, overseas, the first thing they bring up is the 85 Bears. They're going to talk about those 85 Bears. Like, the Bears, 85, yeah. Walter Payton, Richard Dent, Steve McMichael, Mongo, they're going to bring up all these cats, man. You know what I'm saying? So again, to see them get that love and to be received the way that they are received overseas, it's amazing. And it just chaps my ass to the point where it's like, damn, what the Kansas City Chiefs are. That's what we should be. We the damn charter franchise. We should be that. We should be the elite. So we're getting there. We're getting there eventually. But yes, it's definitely that. It's definitely coming to that. And I would love to see that one day.
Yeah, I love it too, man. I think it's dope. I think it's cool. I mean, even with our podcast, we see people from overseas that listen to us. You know what I mean? Yes. We see some of the numbers that pop up and it's like, oh, there's somebody over there watching. Like, wow, I know we had Bears fans over there. You know what I mean? They're paying attention to what the Bears are doing. Okay, cool. So it's a nice thing. It's a global game. You know what I mean? And it's nice to see it, doing well in Europe, of course. And anybody that's loving the Bears, man, I love it, man. From around the world all the way back to Atlanta. Like when the Bears come to Atlanta, I go to a game, man, it's like 50-50, it seemed like in there. So, there are a lot of Bears fans out there, man. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate what you guys are doing over there abroad. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You guys keep it up, man, and keep putting out nice content like this, man. It's dope.
Yeah, man. It's awesome. It's awesome to see, especially I live in California, not growing up in Chicago. You see Bear stickers and license plates all the time and flags, and it's crazy that you like, man, how you a Bear fan? I grew up in Chicago, right? So it's kind of like, my dad was a Bear fan. You're like, okay, so it's pretty cool to see it. And I'm glad the NFL is growing globally because the NBA already kind of started that. And so NFL is like so USA dominant to see like, hey, man, everybody can enjoy this sport. It's a fun sport. And, it'll be cool when they eventually do get a team over in Europe. That'd be dope because I know it's coming. Coming. It'll be real dope. It's really good to see, especially see that many Bear fans all across the world. And we're connected because we're Bear fans and you guys in totally different places.
Exactly.
We're in 3 different places in America and you guys are overseas and we're all hopping on.
It's incredible.
It's mad when you think about it, isn't it? It's mad. Like it's fucking mental, man. No, but the thing is, like you talk about the NFL Europe thing, man, like honestly, like I'm not the biggest fan of a European franchise. I'm not. I like it being where it is. However, I'm a big fan of having like remember they used to have NFL Europe years ago. Like, so I used to go to Scottish Claymore games all the time, and then they had like Ride and Fire and Frankfurt Galaxy and London Monarchs and stuff like that. They should bring that back as like a B league, and guys that aren't getting games or guys that are on practice squads or whatever getting games there, man. That's the way. I think that's the way.
That's a great idea.
Because
that's a good idea.
They would make a shit ton of money off the back of it as well, because the appetite for the game over here is huge now, man. It's absolutely gigantic. But you never know. Like, we'll wait and see what happens. But listen, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We really, really appreciate you coming on. Can you let us know what's coming up with the podcast this season? Or what's your sort of plans for sort of how often you're going out each week, and tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Three Kings, of course, we're going to be doing something every single week. We'll be putting out, of course, a podcast, the Three Kings in the Midway podcast. I'll also be doing the Spaces, right? So we do a Spaces, and you guys have joined it before, where, you know what I mean, on Sunday before, even at halftime and after the game, we have, you know, we go in there and we talk about what's going on, what's happening, what we're looking for, what we are impressed by, and so on and so forth. So we'll continue to do that. We got several other things that's popping off too, man. I'll let the other guys say a couple things.
Yeah, we got that. Yeah, we gonna finally do the YouTube thing, because, you know, we've been told, hey, we do the podcast, we got to get into the new era of putting it on the YouTube thing, you know. So so we got it. We're gonna do that and just try to produce content. Yeah, it should be a fun season, dude. I ain't gonna lie. Last season took a lot out of me, man. It was hard. It was hard to try to record the same thing over and over.
Imagine getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch that. I had the joy, right? 5:42 in the morning. I had to go to work at 5:42 in the morning, still up there to see if Kansas would score their 50th or would they hold it at 45. That's what I had to watch.
That's dedication, man.
True dedication. But yeah, like I said, we got the pod, we got the Spaces. We're gonna try to get on YouTube, try to have interactive clips, you know, everything else to keep people engaged. And again, like you said, we tried last year and the years before, we tried things where we had people call into the show, you know, be a part of the podcast, tell us, you know what I'm saying, their thoughts and how they feel about certain questions that we post earlier on Twitter and things of that nature. So, you know, it's a lot of big things going on for Three Kings in the Midway, you know. But before we take off, I definitely want to say one thing. I want people to understand that this season will be we will have that defining moment, and it'll either be a make or break moment for this year, and it's going to be in that one game. It's going to be that one game. One game. I don't know which game it's going to be, but it's going to be a game where Caleb is going to believe. He's going to not only believe in himself, he's going to believe in his coaching, he's going to believe in his O-line, and it's going to all slow down for him. If people don't understand, it's like Neo in the Matrix, the very first Matrix, when everything was coming at him and he couldn't understand, then all of a sudden he just evolved and everything just slowed down. And it seemed like everything was moving in slow motion, and it's not going to be a fucking thing the defense can do about it. And he's going to be on a tear from that point on. Mark my words. I don't know what game it's going to be, but it's coming.
See, that is the perfect way to end this episode. Absolutely perfect. Guys, I am ready to play ball. I'm in Stockholm at the moment, and I'm ready to fucking go. Boys, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, really do. People listening to the BearDown Abroad podcast, come back next week. We got fans coming on, jumping on. We've got loads of other guests in September. But after that, to finish it, I don't want to talk anything else. Tony, hit it, roll. Get going. Enjoy yourself.
Guys.
Don't forget, bear the fuck down.
Before we go, very quickly, we will be back next week. We have a fan show. We have yet to name the fan show, but it's going to be something pretty cool. Watch out for it. I'm also going to release our September lineup, which is pretty fucking impressive. I can't wait to share it with you guys. But until next Monday, and you guys as well, please tune into the Three Kings of the Midway podcast every week as well. Make sure you're listening to these guys, because know what the fuck they're talking about. But so do we. So fucking listen to us as well. Until next time,
That's right.
Bear down, lads. Cheers.
Bear down.